Ah, greetings, traveler. Welcome to the Nonat Inn. My name is Nonat. What can I get for you? A drink? Of course I can get you a drink. Now, do you know what goes best with a drink? A story. And not just any story, but allow me to tell you the story of a man. A man who owned a tavern far more grand than this one, where magical servants cater to your every need. A man by the name of Quincy.
Quincy is a phenomenally talented creator over on TikTok. Welcoming his viewers in as patrons of his fictional tavern, he draws people in with his incredible prop quality, immersive scripts, and, of course, that dazzling smile. His videos range from storytelling to food recipes to full-on POV conversations with the tavern proprietor himself. Now, Quincy is a Dungeons & Dragons character, but what if he was in Pathfinder? Well, that's what we're here today to talk about. Howdy, my name is Nonat, and welcome to Pathfinder Conversion, where we take things that are not Pathfinder and make them Pathfinder. Today we're talking about the incredibly charismatic tavern owner Quincy, and how to make him as a playable character or NPC for your Pathfinder 2nd Edition game. Before we get started, I want to encourage all of you to go support Quincy on TikTok. At the time of writing this script, he is nearing 3 million followers, and it would be incredible to see him crest that milestone. You can also find him on Instagram and Twitch, links to all of which will be in the description of this video as well as in the pinned comment below. And while you're down there, is there anyone you would like to see me create in Pathfinder? If so, leave a comment down below telling me who you would love to see me create as a usable NPC in your games. I do read every single comment left on these videos, so if you put it down there, your suggestion will be taken into consideration. Also, the more likes these videos get, the more I know you guys are enjoying them and want to see more. So if you do want to see more character creation videos like this one, leave a like on the video. It is the best way to say, yes, please more. Now, as usual, we'll be following the ABCs of character creation: ancestry, background, and class. And usually, this is where I would start theory crafting and digging into this character to create them from scratch, but Quincy's actually quite created already. In fact, all of the details about Quincy are on a post on his Ko-fi page from about a year ago. In this post, he has described his character as a half-elf, bard, alchemist, multiclass, and I'm not going to be changing any of this. Sure, I'm adapting him to a new system, but this is still his characters, and it is just due respect to stick with the decision they have created. But don't worry, we're still going to be having plenty of fun along the way. So since Quincy is a half-elf, this means we have access to human, elf, and half-elf ancestry feats, and we can really pick our favorite from the bunch. In the Ko-fi post, Quincy specifically mentions he has pointed ears, but not nearly as pointy as an elf, or even other half-elves for that matter. For that reason, I think the best ancestry feat to take will be round ears. This means his ears are just pointy enough that he could be considered a half-elf, but also can easily lie and pretend to be a full-blooded human. This grants him a +4 to impersonation checks to pretend to be human. As for his background, I tried to dig as deep as I could, but information about Quincy's past is fairly few and far between. Everything we see of him is all about his tavern and how he interacts with his patrons. The only information I could dig up about his birth and younger life is that he was born with only 3 fingers on one hand and 2 on the other. These were not lost in any kind of accident, it's simply how he was born. We also know that watching him work, this limitation doesn't slow him down at all. He's still able to cook and serve his food and drink to his patrons with utmost dexterity. He even knows his way around a crossbow, which specifically doubles as a lute, which I think is the coolest bard weapon I've ever seen. From what I can tell, the tavern is everything to Quincy, and everything he does and everything he knows is centered around this establishment. So even if he didn't necessarily run this tavern for the longest time, it's so integral to his story that it has to become part of his background. And for that reason, Quincy's background is obviously the barkeep. It may seem a bit too easy, but you can't argue with its accuracy. A boost to charisma, proficiency in diplomacy, and the hobnobber feat all make sense. Let's be honest, nobody gathers information more efficiently than a bartender. Now, the class is where this character design really gets interesting. We already know that Quincy is a bard alchemist multiclass in Dungeons & Dragons, but Pathfinder 2nd edition handles multiclassing incredibly different. You can only have one base class and then take multiclass archetypes to augment it. So this means we need to decide, what is Quincy's base class, bard or alchemist? For me, the choice is obvious, but I'll walk through it. Quincy is, beyond any doubt, charismatic beyond belief.
All the best stories have moments like this, when the adventure all of a sudden seems hopeless.
From carefully crafted smiles and stares to his skillful use of flirtation on his patrons, he can get what he wants just by speaking a few choice words.
And we cannot forget dessert.
However, if you dive deep into his video log, you'll notice a recurring theme: crafting. In so many of his videos, Quincy is usually making some kind of food or equipment or consumable item. Hell, he even has his own unique consumable known as Quincy's healing potions, and they function differently from normal healing potions, and they're just so cool. Also, looking at the gear he wears, it just doesn't scream bard to me. In Pathfinder 2nd edition, bards are not proficient in medium armor, and Quincy is clearly not wearing any kind of light armor. Now, obviously, bards can take the medium armor proficiency general feat, but I do think all of this evidence adds up that I can confidently claim that Quincy's base class is an alchemist. And don't any of you start with the, alchemists can't make healing potions, they can only make elixirs of life. Well, D&D doesn't have elixirs of life. For the sake of all of this, Quincy's healing potions are clearly an alchemical creation, so in Pathfinder they would likely be considered elixirs. That being said, with his most signature creation being a unique healing potion, Quincy is obviously going to be a chirurgeon subclass of alchemist. This won't impact his gameplay all that much, but it will let him prepare more healing items per day than other alchemists, and as we go forward, you'll see that Quincy is the quintessential support. I didn't even write that pun, I just left it in. I'm not editing this out. But now we have a big question to answer. What level is Quincy? At face value, he might not seem that impressive, a pretty basic bartender, maybe level 2 or 3, but no. Quincy is surprisingly powerful. This is noted by his collection of shockingly powerful artifacts, some of which have the ability to bend time and space. Unless your GM is incredibly nice, you don't get those at level 2 or 3. Now granted, most of these were gifts or left with him by various powerful patrons through the years. But you don't just give a patron a mug of ale and get a magical time-traveling ocarina in return. No. Quincy has clearly been around the block at least a few times and has seen his fair share of combat. Again, he is very experienced with his specific crossbow loot. But also keep in mind that Quincy is not all-powerful. At his core, he's still just a humble man who loves his drink, loves his patrons, and loves his gambling games. He doesn't seem the type to be seeking that deity-esque power level. For that reason, Quincy is a level 8 alchemist, highly above average in all of his skills and experience, but not all-powerful. And I know, I made Jacob level 8 in the last episode. I promise it's just a coincidence, they're not all gonna be level 8. Now, let's walk through some of the important feats and skills Quincy picks up at each level. Starting off, obviously he has alchemical crafting and magical crafting as skill feats. Duh. He also has the seasoned skill feat, giving him a bonus to crafting food, drink, and potions. We also never see him make a mistake in his videos. Everything seems to come out perfect. For that reason, I believe he also has the impeccable crafter skill feat to automatically critically succeed when he normally succeeds his crafting checks. As for his other skills, he clearly knows his way around magical items, so Arcana is a given, and Society is so important to a bartender. We know he's trained in diplomacy from his background, and I think Survival rounds out his base skills quite nicely. He might have a few more here and there, but those are the important ones. Moving on to class feats, Quincy actually completely skips his level 2 alchemist feat, and instead takes the Bard dedication. This grants him 2 cantrips, Mage Hand and Prestidigitation, as well as trained proficiency in Performance and Occultism. As for his muse, we're going to pick the Bard Enigma muse, as it just fits Quincy perfectly, constantly driving himself to learn more about the world around him, and of course the curiosity to learn more about his patrons. At 4th level, he picks up basic bardic spellcasting, which grants him a single 1st level spell, which is of course going to be Unseen Servant. In the post about Quincy on Coffee, he talks about his tavern, and how Quincy himself does almost none of the work, but rather uses Mage Hand and Unseen Servant to sweep the floors, clean the tables, so he can sit back, relax, and talk to his patrons to keep them entertained. He does not have any other employees working at this tavern. And even though he only gets the 1 spell slot from this feat, that's all he needs, because Unseen Servant does not have an expiration. As long as you can focus to keep the spell sustained, it lasts indefinitely. So he opens up the tavern, summons the servant, has it work the 8, 12, however many hours the tavern's open, and then dismisses it when everything's clean. Taking this feat will also grant Quincy 2 additional spells, one at level 6 and one at level 8. At level 6, Quincy picks up Calm Emotions, as it's a tavern. Bar fights are bound to break out, and Quincy doesn't want to have to spend money on repairs. By casting Calm Emotions, he's able to calm everybody down, let them talk things out rather than beating each other with his chairs, and then keep on enjoying themselves in his establishment. And at 8th level, his 3rd spell is absolutely going to be Cozy Cabin. I love the idea that Quincy is traveling with a party of adventurers, and at nightfall they need to make camp. So, Quincy casts Cozy Cabin, this nice 20-foot wide cabin that everyone can funnel into, and Quincy just sets up shop and goes to town. He pulls out his ale, he starts cooking everyone a hearty meal, and it's just the most wholesome thing I've ever seen. At level 8, he also picks up basic Muse Whispers to learn how to cast Inspire Courage, really completing that Alchemist Bard multiclass as much as you can in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. This also cements Quincy as just the ultimate support, as for 3 actions he can pull out an item, use it in some way, or give it to someone, and cast Inspire Courage, constantly feeding his team all of these items to support them that they can use themselves, and giving them complete bonuses with Inspire Courage. It's a fantastic support build. Now, there is a lot more to Quincy than what I've talked about here. His equipment, his magical items, his stories and experiences, his pet griffin baby, Coco.
We going to McDonald's if I don't do my work? No.
However, all of these things are aspects of Quincy that he gained through gameplay, not necessarily through leveling up. As such, I didn't feel right including them in the actual build portion of this video because, sure, I could have spent a feat to pick up the Beastmaster archetype and gotten a baby griffin. I guess it'd be more of a familiar, but it still didn't feel quite in line with the more important parts of his character. If you choose to include Quincy in your game, he can and really should have all of these different things available to him, as that is often what makes Quincy, Quincy. But these videos are about making characters by the book as much as possible, so I simply chose to omit them. But what do you think? What would you have changed about your Quincy build? Would you have made him a bard first and then multi-classed into alchemist? Or maybe you would have picked some different feats along the way? Let me know down in the comments. I got a lot of great reception from the last one of these, so I'm excited to see what you guys think about this one. And as usual, if you're interested, the character sheet for Quincy is going to be linked right down below via Wanderer's Guide, and you can take it and use it as you want. Bird, really? I'm almost done. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment recommending a different creator you'd like to see me make. I'm having a lot of fun doing these, and I've even gotten some requests to make some characters or people from, movies or video games or things like that. If that's something you would like to see, please do let me know. I've really been enjoying making content creators themselves, or the characters they play, and it's a lot of fun to sort of get to deep dive into these people, try to learn a lot about the creator. Sometimes I learned some really cool things. I got to go back and watch some of Quincy's TikToks from, a year plus ago and see how he got to where he is, and it's a lot of fun to just learn more about these creators and then transform that knowledge into a character. I will say, Quincy's was tough, because we only get to see about 60 seconds at a time in his videos, and most of them are about his tavern and his patrons. He doesn't go into information about himself too often, but it was still a really fun jaunt. Steven, if you somehow end up watching this video, thank you for creating Quincy and his tavern. Every single video you upload is as entertaining as it is heartwarming. Thank you for letting us in. And thank you all so very much for watching. I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons for helping support me and the channel for all these months. I would not be able to do what I do without these amazing people. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, no nat ones.